Hello, hello. Just made it in.
Good.
Okay.
We'll wait a couple of minutes. Johanna is in the room with us.
Okay. Hello, Johanna.
Hi, I'll turn on my video in a second. I'm just running back into my dorm right now.
Oh, no problem. Glad you're with us. I feel like I'm echoing. So, Brandon, you came from College Park right to into this. You were in school today.
I had to make a few stops. I had to do some errands before I came home.
Mhm.
But pretty much, yeah.
Oh, welcome home.
I'll share the PowerPoint on my screen.
Great. And what I have set up, if we have time at the end, is the issue booklet from the last, because I think that does a nice job of showing the project. So,
Okay.
but I didn't want to hop back in and out of the PowerPoint. I didn't know.
Oh, okay.
That's why I was thinking we could switch, but
Okay. I was riding, checking my phone and
oh no, don't do that. I do that. It's terrible. Okay. I just need to make sure that I can see if someone's coming into the
okay.
this way. I guess I'll see it.
Oh, slideshow. I see it. Here we go. Okay. So we are set. We are ready and set.
Finding us. That's great. Hi, Kristen.
Hi there.
Glad you could join us. Sure. Hi, Joanna. You're muted, Kristen.
I know my dog keeps barking, so I keep muting. I came home for this. So
well, we don't mind having a dog added to the group.
He's barking at the wind.
Yeah. We're gonna wait another minute or two.
Okay.
To start. And then just for everybody know, we're recording this so that others who can't join us will put it up so it's available for people. So Joanna, which department are you in?
I'm an architecture major.
It
just looked really cool, like in the info email. So I thought I'd check it out.
That's great. We think it's pretty cool too. So
yeah.
we welcome people who think it's cool to join us. So that's great. So are you a junior or a sophomore?
I'm a sophomore right now.
No, perfect.
Yeah. I was looking kind of at doing art history as a minor, and then I got this email and this was super neat. So I thought, I'd check them both out and see. You
may be able to do both.
Yeah.
Because there are art history classes that are in the electives.
Yeah. And there's a little bit of overlap between the architecture classes that I'm in and the minor.
Yeah. We have it worked out. So at least we'll talk about it more, but welcome, Lydia. One of the 6 credits of electives are ones you probably would take anyhow.
Yeah.
So to make it a little easier for people, but that doesn't mean you couldn't take 2 other electives if you could fit it in your schedule. So. Kristen, have you ever met Brandon?
I have not. How are you?
Nice to meet you, Kristen.
Yep.
So Kristen is in charge of our advising. What's your official title, Kristen?
Director of Student Services.
Jack of all trades.
Yes, right now, yes.
And Brandon Donahue is the head of the studio art track.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Welcome, Lydia. So we'll give it one more minute and then we'll get started.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay.
That sounds good. I'm sending a message to one of my students who's supposed to be here.
Okay. Yeah, you said a few of them were going to come. So how's the end of the semester going? Can you feel it? Can you taste it?
It's harder because Thanksgiving break is just so close.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's just really hard to get back into like the swing of things and like getting final projects ready like right before they're due.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we all feel that. I think
Yeah.
this semester the rhythm is a little easier.
Yeah.
I got nothing done on Monday. I just could not switch gears.
Yeah. Well, so I transferred to UMD, and at the last school I was at, we like right before Thanksgiving break was our finals. And so I just had to kind of get used to the semester, like doing that.
Oh, wow. Were you in a quarter system?
No, but we started in early August.
Okay. Where were you, may I ask?
Chatham University out in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a different schedule. So then what happens between Thanksgiving and Christmas? Do you start a new quarter?
There's no classes, but January 3rd was our like the start of our spring semester.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the school that I taught in Detroit, where
Yeah.
we would finish December 22nd and we'd start January 3rd. And that was really painful.
Yeah.
Except we were done.
Nice having the winter break earlier and like not having to go back between the holidays. But it was, I transferred here in the spring. So I kind of had like a 2-month break from school there.
You should keep transferring, I guess. Yeah. Well, why don't we get started and welcome. Lydia, if you are able to put your camera on, great, but if not, no problem. Just to, I don't know if you were in the room when we say we were recording, so just to let you know that. Lydia, do you mind saying or putting in the chat which department you're in? I don't know if you have.
My major?
Yeah.
Public health.
Public health. Okay. Did you email me, Lydia?
I don't think so.
Okay, because I did hear from someone from public health. Well, welcome.
Okay.
So I'm going to start. My name is Ronit Eisenbach, and I'm directing the new minor. I'm a professor in the School of Architecture, Planning, and Preservation, and particularly in architecture. And I am joined by Brandon Donahue.
Yeah, I'll introduce myself. Brandon Donahue, assistant professor of art. I teach a graduate colloquium class as well as the art studio. I'm the art studio lead of the creative placemaking minor. This is actually my second year teaching here at UMD. Before I was a professor here, I was the artist in residence at the Driscoll Center, which is over in the Cole Fieldhouse. So first year teaching, but second year, third year, pandemic didn't count. That was a wild year online. So collectively 3 here in Maryland.
At Maryland, but before that you were teaching in Tennessee, right?
Oh yeah. So yeah, before that I was tenure track at Tennessee State University. Thank you, Ronit. So
Yeah. And before this, I was at University of Detroit Mercy for 12 years. So anyhow, we are really excited about this program, and we'll tell you a little bit about it and then leave some time hopefully for questions. But since there's just 2 of you in the room plus Kristen, maybe, we'll just pause and see if you have questions. Do people have a hard stop at 7? I think we said 7:30. Are we good till like 7:30? I don't think we'll go that long, but just want to make sure.
I'll probably have to leave a little bit early.
At what time? So we'll just make sure we.
I have to be somewhere at 7:30, so maybe 7:15.
I think we'll be fine.
Perfect.
So just starting off with an image, and just to say that Brandon and I have been doing this kind of work, but under other names before we created this, working on this minor. And so this is an image from one of a former student who was both a studio art major and a architecture major. And Edgar is actually now at Yale pursuing a second degree. And what I like to share this image because this was an image created for Long Branch, which is along the Purple Line, a few miles from the university. And one of the things that they were trying to figure out, having a population that had probably equal number of first generation or immigrant families and families who had been here for longer, is how to tell one another's stories. And so we had this dream of this kind of van working with an organization called Gandhi Brigade, which works with teenagers and teaches them to make videos and collect stories, and also one called Docs in Progress, where this van would go around and be a place both to, tell your story, and at night it was able to project the stories into the community. And so I think this is really a good metaphor to start for how we're working in this program, both working with communities, asking them what stories they'd like to share and what projects they think are important. And Lydia, I'm glad you're here, because this is more than art and architecture. When we think about the environment and its effects, it's both issues of public health and policy and information design and all sorts of other things. So I'm gonna go from here. So I'm gonna just explain. Oh, you have I couldn't click. So Brandon, go to the next slide. So just to put this in a little context, the university launched an initiative called Arts for All, which began last year. And it's been in the works for a while. It's been embraced and supported both by the provost and the president. And it comes mainly out of arts and humanities, but there are people from a lot of different disciplines in it. And I think we saw in COVID, we can think of the examples of like the Italians singing from their balconies, and just the way that the arts were both a way of healing and also a way of people coming together. And we started this before that, but I think COVID has been a great case point of that the arts are an opportunity for us both to learn things and gain knowledge, but also to connect. And so the Arts for All initiative is providing funding for a lot of different pieces on campus, but underscoring it is this notion of interdisciplinary collaborations to have everybody at the university have or participate in an art experience, and also as a way to bridge to one another and to talk about sometimes pretty complex issues. So the creative placemaking minor is one of two curricular initiatives that came out of it. And next, please. And if anybody's been to the Next Now Festival, that's an example of something that's been supported and enhanced by the Arts for All initiative. We're going to be showcasing some of our work. In this case, this is a mural that Brandon made, and they'll see some closer images. Maybe at some point, Brandon, if you want to share anything about it when we get closer to it. Yeah. But just to define it, so creative placemaking, it got named maybe in 2008 or 2009 around the housing crisis, when the head of Housing and Urban Development went to the head of the NEA, the National Endowment for the Arts, and said, what can you guys do about the housing crisis and about the fact that people can't move out of their communities, yet they want to figure out how to make them better. And so if you think about it as this mashup between like art and place, or culture makers and placemaking, and also thinking about the issues of equity and health and justice, these are the things behind it. So it's about leveraging the powers of arts, culture, and creativity to serve this larger community interest. And underneath it is really a political agenda of equitable change and growth and transformation in a way that's building the quality place and sustaining the people who live and work there in a healthy way. Next, please. So we're going to talk about a few things about creative placemaking. Basically, I think it said some of these things, but I want to just go to the last two, that it relies on community engagement. We're working with partners in the communities. We're working with knowledge keepers. We're responding to things they're asking of us to do, and to learn from their expertise as well. And that we're really looking to have impact on the ground. And I loved it. Brandon said, creative placemaking is action. So we really try to do projects that are action oriented. And on the left is a project that I did with two undergraduate students a few years ago, right nearby in Quebec Terrace, where we built temporary benches out of wooden pallets. And these are the children of the community who came out for a painting day of those. Next. After hearing from the community that they wanted a place to gather. Brandon, do you want to say anything about this image?
Yeah, so while we have the image up, so this mural, so I'm a muralist, a sculptor. I do a lot of different things, but for this one particular job, this was a mural that was I was commissioned to do at Arrowmont School of Arts and Crafts, which is in the mountains. It's in the Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee, if any of you guys know where that is. But it's a craft school that's, oh, I'm sorry. Did someone say something? Oh, okay. Well, it's a craft school that's been around for a little bit over 50 years. And I was commissioned to do this mural as an act to sort of tackle a diversity issue where they want to include more people of color. So this mural was it's called Makers, and the craft school offers classes, ranging from fibers to clay, glass, woodworking, 2D. So you can see the different hands doing the different mediums. And just to kind of explain it in a little bit about what this mural was, and also to tie in all the different hands making, it's in the style of a quilt. So it's sort of like bringing everything together into one composition, one mural. So this is sort of what creative placemaking can look like in just a mural form. But there's many different ways that we can kind of execute these ideas.
And so I think that's a nice lead into thinking about that. We think about communities that are either facing change or trying to change, and that kind of moment of transition. And so in this case, it's a community of saying, we want to figure out how to give voice to other members of our community who may not have been represented in this place. How can we do that? And thinking about, or what are the assets in our community, both people, materials that are being thrown out, spaces that aren't used, that we can rethink. So creative placemaking is this idea that it's joining both what we call social art practice, or art that's really has a social justice piece to it, and what we in architecture call public interest design. And I think for public health, it's pretty parallel to the idea of public health, right? So architecture that's really intended to serve the community that it's part of. Next, and is from the community. So just we can pass by these slides, but this is just an intro image about me and where you can reach me. Just point out the images on the bottom, which is a project that I did a number of years ago in Chestertown, Maryland, called Water Lines. And in that, I was invited to put together a team, and the team included in the end a marine biologist, a gospel singer, other members of the community, historians, and a composer. It really brought lots of different folks together. And we asked that community, Chestertown is one dealing with both the issues of ecological degradation and sea level rise, as well as a history of racial segregation and of slavery, and also of parallel stories in communities that don't meet. And so this project ended up being in a bank that was empty. So we think about also spaces that are in transition, and we use that opportunity to interview people. It's a whole big project that I can share with you, but just the image on the left is interviewing people in the community, asking them what they felt it was important enough to them, what they valued enough that they would want to put in the bank now, that they would want to protect. Let's go forward. Next slide, please. More images from the one I showed you. This is the finished project of the kids on that play area. It was outside of a satellite YMCA, and again came out of conversation with the Y, feeling they needed a place for their kids to hang out and to read, and they wanted some green space. There's a garden around it. There was a rain garden. And on the right is also the way we work, because we don't always get to build things, is sometimes we make images of what we hear from people and what we could see next that are used to get funding or to suggest the next thing. So on the right was an idea that came out of conversations, both with the kids wanting homework help, but also with the educators in the Y wanting to figure out how to get, and the parents wanting to get their kids to have more opportunities for STEM education, for science, technology, and math, and also wanting there to be kind of more light in the neighborhood. And so what you're seeing is this idea of these lantern libraries, which was this mashup between a bollard and also a collecting device. So it was to have like weather data and air quality data, and then kids working in the studio in middle school, high school, and elementary would start learning about that data and figuring out how to represent it. And it had real particular relationships, like my sister has asthma. Oh, it's a red code day. Or, we're thinking about, we're going to see, does the garden need to be watered or not? How much rain has there been, et cetera. So this has not happened yet, but this is also how we work. Next, please. And I'll go through this next one quickly. This is a project we did in Riverdale. We also are really focusing on the Purple Line, which I'm sure you guys have noticed the construction coming into the university. So there's the new Metro line, and that will have a big impact on the communities around us. So the National Center for Smart Growth, which is part of the School of Architecture, Planning and Preservation, leads a network of stakeholders thinking about how we preserve affordable housing, how we preserve small businesses, how we build workforce development. And then the last one is how we contribute to thriving communities, which I think all those other ones fit into that. But in that basket are, how do we create a safe walking space from someone to walk from the new Metro home? Or how might there be an expression of the communities that are along that line? And so Brandon and I are targeting, not targeting isn't the right word, but are focusing on a lot of our projects, working with the Purple Line Corridor Coalition around the communities adjacent to the university that are seeing this change. So this is one, Riverdale. It's getting 2 stops next. And in this studio during COVID, one of the questions was there was no community center. And so the students came up with this idea of this deconstructed community center, which was a series of different resource hubs of vans that kind of came apart. And so there was one for performance, one for play, one for eating and Wi-Fi, I should say, working, learning, climbing, and food. So I'll show you one of them. So if you go to the next slide. And so these were developed. This was the water play resource hub. So the whole thing fit in a van and unfolded. And, it was about thinking about how we could bring play areas to different parts of the community. And next, and they did these fun animations where the vans would all go and drive off. That was the Wi-Fi cafe. Here it comes back again. And one of the projects that we worked on was actually the School of Public Health worked with our partner in Riverdale to create a new cafe, which is to build sort of healthy nutrition, and also has a clinic there, working with Professor Stephen Thomas, and they wanted a way to distribute healthy food. So one of the vans was about food distribution, and we've applied for grants to fund that. And I will pass this over to Brandon because we're tired of seeing this guy driving back and forth. Those are some examples of some of the projects.
Okay. All right. So like I said before, my name is Brandon Donahue. And what I'm going to do is go back and show you some of my work before moving to Maryland. This first project is from 2018 in Nashville, Tennessee. And it was a grant that I applied for that focused on a local community center that was being rebuilt. So this project is broken into 3 different parts. This first part was what I'm learning is a deep listening project where you actually listen to what the community members need, as opposed to going in and with your own sort of ideas. And I noticed that the basketball court was an old concrete, it was broken up and torn, but it was very highly used, and it was a large meeting spot. People like they met there every day around 4 o'clock, between 4 and like 7 to 8 p.m. It was just a crowded place. So I noticed that, and I invested into the space to just redesign the court and give them a better surface to play on. So this is the first project. It's called The Art of Fitness, and this is a 3-part project. The second part was that I was the artist in residence for this community center, and I conducted a 2-week workshop working with the kids, which was, I think, ages 7 through 12. And in this workshop, I wanted to work directly with them and ask them questions about what is community and what is family, while the new community center was being built. So from those questions, we went through magazines, we drew on, we had drawings, we wrote poetry, and this was a 2-week process, like I said. And after we did all these exercises, I took their silhouettes. I projected onto their bodies and casted a shadow of their silhouettes. We traced their silhouettes out, and they got a chance to insert their drawings and paintings into their own bodies of what they thought family was. And after that was completed, I converted those into vinyl cutouts. So you can see on the left and right. This was installed into the new community center after it was built, so that now, they're visible, they can see themselves, and it's actually permanent. It's a permanent installation. So this is one part of what we mean by action, by putting it into action and sort of meeting people where they are. I mean, this is working with kids, and they understand just like we do. And then the final part was actually, it was a very, like I said, like the basketball court was a major part of that community center. And in my personal studio practice, I collect sports objects and found objects because I believe in the spirit of the mundane, or that everything has a spirit. So I collect these specific things, but in this case, the basketballs. And these basketballs came from that local community center and around that area. And I installed these assemblages of the basketballs in the colors of the local high school and community center. So this is a part of one project that to me represents what we mean by creative placemaking. And I'm going to let me go backwards a little bit. So this is a project, the second one here that I did here in Maryland last semester. This is with my Painting 1 course. And one of my students here, Daniel, has joined us. Thank you for joining us, Daniel. And this was a collaboration with the Hall CP, which is directly across the street from campus. And I'm going to just play the video. It could explain it much better than I can. So we began the semester just going over basic fundamentals.
Color theory and artists and the history of it. So now you're more informed when you go into design.
Here, I'll just sit this here and let you use that. I totally flipped it on them. And I said, okay, apply the same thing that you did at this size to a larger size.
And so when we came in, we're doing a mural. This is 25 feet by like 9.5. I'm only 5 feet tall. It's like 5 of me. Kind of daunting at first.
It's really important in creative placemaking for students to be in touch with the community outside of the classroom.
The research we did for the project is very much related to the intersection of arts, technology, healthy lifestyle, and design.
Before we start any piece or anything, we have to look into it, look at different styles, different artists, like to get inspiration.
Process of thinking of what you want to paint, and also the actual painting.
There's a lot in that research. When you're working with the community, it's not a singular individual thing, it's a group effort.
So all the letters are our hands.
And I was really excited. I told all my friends about it.
The inception part, like analyzing what you have seen.
And then we'll make it a different color.
Okay. And then using your hands and a medium to express that thing. Let's loosen it up a little bit. I think it's too tight. Yeah. The campus area is always growing.
Placemaking is when the community,
I think I want the foreground leaves, the ones that are really up close, those grassmates, to be a lot more defined.
they have more of a stake in that space.
I think you should go with the darker color.
Like,
Just go like at the top.
I think one of the many goals and aspirations of many artists is to have their work to be seen.
All right, cool. So chalk time. The businesses want to connect with the students as well.
I'm gonna have to ladder it.
So it was a perfect marriage of like, how can we both serve each other? If you get the mountains reflected with that dark blue, then it's a real water. It's a real ocean kind of vibe.
This mural will be seen by many people who go to the Hall CP.
It looks like there's like more to the ocean than just a blue blob.
Creative placemaking is an action.
It's just very exciting.
All right, I think we've got it, Shu Ying. Unless you have something else you want to add to it.
Flipping painting upside down, understanding that like painting is no longer inside the studio. It belongs everywhere. It passes down from generation to generation.
Okay, so that was the Hall CP project. Let me one second here. That always happens, Ronit. Every time I like try to log back in.
It's really hard. I love that rock. Where is that? You have to tell me. It's like a pillow.
Yeah, let me log. Sorry about that, guys.
I have it up. If you want, I can just share.
Yeah, if you can. I don't know what happened there. That was weird. Oh, I have it. I have it now.
Yep.
Sorry.
Okay.
Let me just log out of. I'm also mindful of our time. I don't want to go. Okay, here we go. Okay, so then we come to placekeeping, place holding, place affirming, and there's also place management. So placekeeping is the active care and maintenance of a place and its social fabric by the people who live and work there. It's not just preserving buildings, but keeping the cultural memories associated with the locale alive, while supporting the ability of local people to maintain their way of life as they choose. So yeah, we have creative placemaking, but then you have placekeeping, place holding, place affirming, and place management. Did you want to add to that, Ronit?
Just to say that we titled it placemaking, but we're aware that, you know, one of the problems when you say placemaking is it's if there's no place to be there, already there. And so we like to use placemaking and placekeeping, or placemaking, place sharing, just to affirm the community that's there, right? And then place management, it's also thinking about how we do things that are sustainable, how they will last, or how people will, if there's ownership of the work or the idea, then how that, you know, keeps going forward. So we think about those things. I think you can skip that, right?
I can, yes. Is it out of order? That's weird. Okay.
No. Well, just to go back a second. So Lydia, it'd be interesting. You'd be an interesting test case, and Kristen and Paula or I could talk about it. Right now, the program's set up for people who are majoring in studio art and architecture, but we want to have people from other disciplines. So, because we think it's important. So we would figure that out if you were interested. We probably have a room for a limited number of people in the studios who are outside of our disciplines, but we welcome you. So I'd like to go to the next slide.
Okay.
And just to say that right now there are 2 tracks. One for Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Architecture students in Architecture and Spatial Practice. And we call it that because it's not just about making buildings. We think about it more as kind of a spatial, and Brandon and I overlap. I'll do drawings and paintings on the ground and he'll do structures. And the second right now, which we're calling Art and Community. And we will eventually be expanding tracks into other disciplines, landscape architecture, performing arts. And we've heard from folks in the humanities and public health as well. Next. And so currently the way the minor is structured is there's 9 required credits, 3-credit introduction course, which I'm teaching for the first time this fall. That's always in the fall, at least right now. And the second is 6 credits of a studio, either taught by that we're calling a creative placemaking studio. So right now, Brandon teaches 2, 1 in the fall and 1 in the spring, each 3 credits. And I teach the Making Place Studio and Architecture in the spring, which is 6 credits. I think going forward, we'll probably have some summer courses and we'll have other examples as well. But basically, the second course is about practice. So taking the ideas and getting the chance to actually work in a community and do a mural or do, like some of the things I said. And then there's 6 elective credits. There's a very long list of elective credits. Both you can take 1 in your discipline as a maximum and then 1 else. And so we designed it so there would be opportunities to take things in more than 1 discipline. Next. So right now the applications are open for sophomores and juniors. And as I said, we've gotten some interest from people who are in other disciplines, but sophomore and juniors give you time to take the intro course in the fall, say next year, and then the spring if you're a sophomore, and then in the spring take the studio elective if you're in architecture, or if you're in art, you do it a little differently. And we're not requiring that you do one before the other. So you might take Brandon's first painting course and then take the intro course. We are asking people to submit a portfolio and an essay. It's due February 15th, as we have 10 slots in each department. And if anybody's interested, we're also happy to work with you. This is not like a heavy duty perspective portfolio. There's more specific information on the web, but it's to give a sense of what you do and the essay, why you think this would be a good fit for you, what interests you about it, and let us learn a little bit more about you. And as I said, we have limited slots as of now because of space in studios. So we're starting there, but we really encourage you to apply, and we'll have other info sessions, or you can reach out to us if you have any questions. Answers we would respond by before spring, in early March, so that people get the information before they're signing up for their fall classes or summer classes. Next. And so we want to just invite you to work with us. And we really are working to help create meaningful and sustained collaboration, experimentation, discourse, creative expression, community engagement, and also really deal with some serious issues, whether it's issues of democracy and public space or public health, and sharing stories that are not heard, bringing out, this image here was one created by one of my students a few years ago, where we were thinking about in the Langley Park, like the Riggs Crossroad, where we see this a lot, where there's a lot of businesses that are hidden behind giant parking lots. And if you didn't know that inside those parking lots, in those businesses, there's a Nigerian bakery and there's a Brazilian, sandwich shop, and there's a this and a that, it looks like there's no culture there and there's no sense of that place. And so in this project, Michael imagined a temporary bus shelter, because there are no bus shelters, that would serve as a museum. That would be also like sort of little storefronts, displaying the objects or displaying the things that people in those stores cherished or that they offered. And this was meant as a temporary thing, where sometimes we imagine small things that hopefully give people the ideas of what they could do if they resourced it more in the future with bigger projects. So I think we'll stop there and answer your questions. If people are interested, I can also share it with you later. I have an issue booklet that shows one full semester's work, but I want to leave some time for questions and conversation. And Joanna, since we know you have to leave in 5 minutes, you want to start out if you have any questions or thoughts or.
Yeah, I had one question, and I was wondering if you could send me that booklet.
Yeah.
When I'm looking on the page at the eligibility, the bullet point that says completed at least one required course in minor and under 3.0 or higher. Would that be, because I've taken like ARC 226, would that count as one of those?
Yes, when we first did it, and I think we have to update that
Okay.
because we were thinking that it would be one of the required courses that people would do the intro course, but then we realized, and Kristen, this is something we should talk about, that not everybody will have taken that course. Like if you as a sophomore, you haven't taken that course right now. So I don't think that eligibility makes sense and we should change it.
Okay.
But,
Thank
you know, we would expect people are, you know, students in good standing in their majors.
Yep. Thank you. I
Thanks
think that
for
was
raising it. We'll fix that. And I put the link to the issue in the chat. And no, it's a work in progress.
okay.
Oh,
Thank
maybe
you so much.
I didn't put the right one. Hold on.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. I put the Zoom link in the chat.
All right. Thank you. If I have any questions, I can email any of you. That's okay.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Okay.
And please tell your
Thank
friends.
you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.
Lydia or Daniel, do you have anything you want to hear about or?
I'm good, thank you.
Okay, Lydia, thank you. Curious, what excited you about this program? How did you hear about it? And why did you want to learn more?
An advisor told me to join the meeting just to see if I was interested, but honestly didn't know what I was like looking into, but yeah.
Mhm. Well, if you are interested, as I said, I think we can make some spots for a couple of folks in other disciplines. And one of the things that's really important, I didn't mention it, but the grants the thing that came out of the conversation between Housing and Urban Design and the National Endowment for the Arts is something called Art Place America. And what they did was they created, I'll put this in the chat, a set of grants that was these mashups. So it was like an art organization and, you know, the prison system, or an art organization and housing, or art organization and public health. And so it was really about how, or education and schools or farmers. So it was really about thinking about how these silos were needed to be broken and actually the interrelationship of those things. So that's what we're hoping to do here. So.
Daniel, did you have any questions or thoughts?
Okay. Well, great, Daniel. Then you know where to find Brandon, and glad you could join us. And thank you. So should we call it a day?
Call it a night. Yep.
Kristen, do you have any questions?
Nope, I don't. I just wanted to see the whole presentation. It was very enjoyable. Thank you. It's good. It puts a different spin on it, having seen it.
Great. Well, if you have suggestions for us about one, how it could be better, and two, how we could get the word out to more students, please let us know.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Bye. Brandon, you want to stay on for a sec?
Thank you.
Hi, you're welcome. Bye, Daniel.
I major in environmental science. And
That's
labor.
great. I think there are a lot of connections, and it'd be great to have you join. You're welcome. Daniel, are you also an art major? You can hear me. Okay,
No.
I will make a place for you if you're interested. Okay.
I'll see you on Monday.
Hi. I'm going to stop the recording.